Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. I gotta tell you, I am absolutely thrilled to have you here because today we're exploring a deeply powerful piece of source material. We're gonna dive into a timeless fable about two brothers. It's a story that, on its surface, seems incredibly simple, but it actually reveals exactly how fractures happen in our lives, and way more importantly, how they can be repaired. It's an explainer focused entirely on the Carpenter's lesson on unity.
Right off the bat, I want to toss a thematic question your way. When a relationship breaks, do you build a wall or do you build a bridge? Keep that in the back of your mind as we go. It sets the absolute perfect stage for the central conflict of the story we're examining today, a conflict that really forces us to look at our own immediate knee-jerk reactions when we feel wronged.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, a shared inheritance.
Moving right along to Section 2, the anatomy of division.
And this timeline brilliantly illustrates exactly how things break down. Initially, like we see right at the start, these two brothers inherited this gorgeous farm and they shared everything completely happily. But, harmony takes work. So one day, a small misunderstanding pops up, and I really want to emphasize that word small. It doesn't stay small for long, though. Shortly after, that little hiccup mutates into a massive argument, and bam, they just completely stop speaking. Total radio silence. Finally, things get so bad that the older brother literally builds a high fence between their homes just so he doesn't have to look at his sibling. It's crazy how a minor misunderstanding just completely metastasizes into this massive physical and emotional wall.
To really wrap our heads around what this division looks like, we have to look at the fence itself. The text defines it physically as a high fence the older brother built specifically to avoid meeting. The brothers' pride literally took a physical shape here. They took all that internal, boiling anger and used it to construct an external structure just to cement their isolation. That beautiful farm they used to happily share, it's literally cut right in half.
Which brings us to Section 3, the carpenter arrives.
So picture this. A few days after this giant fence goes up, a carpenter strolls into town looking for some work. And this is a huge turning point. The younger brother goes up to him and says, "Build something so I never have to see my brother again." Wow. Talk about deep-seated anger, right? The older probably built a fence, and now the younger brother wants to double down on the whole shebang. He wants a barrier so absolute that he never, ever has to lay eyes on his own flesh and blood again. It's just a profoundly destructive request, completely fueled by hurt and wounded pride.
Let's just take a quick time out here. If you were that carpenter, standing there, holding your tools, and you were handed this incredibly bitter request, what would you do? What would you build? Do you just follow the instructions of an angry guy and slap up another wall? Or do you maybe see a different path forward?
Well, let's see what happens in Section 4, the Bridge of Unity.
Now, what's really interesting here is the wild contrast between what the younger brother asked for and what the carpenter actually did. The request was super clear, right? Build a barrier to never see his brother again. But the reality? Instead of nailing together another ugly fence, the text says the carpenter quietly built a strong wooden bridge across the stream. He completely, 100%, ignores the younger brother's anger. Where he was hired to finalize a separation, he goes ahead and lays down the physical foundation for a connection.
And honestly, that gives us this absolutely beautiful working definition of unity, straight from the source text. Unity, in this case, is that strong wooden bridge quietly built over a stream of division. It's a powerful reminder that true connection isn't just about tearing down a fence. It actually requires the deliberate, quiet construction of a path toward the other person. Someone, eventually, has to step up and do the hard work of building a way back.
And that leads us into our final act, Section 5, the endless work.
Let's see how this all builds up to the climax, step by step. Step 1, the younger brother comes out, sees the bridge, and is just totally floored. He's completely surprised. But right at that exact same moment, Step 2, the older brother is already walking across that very bridge with tears in his eyes, offering an apology. And then, Step 3, the younger brother just smiles and goes in for a massive hug. That physical bridge literally paved the way for a physical reunion, instantly melting away all that toxic anger that built the high fence in the first place.
I'm sorry, I let my pride come between us. Just feel the moral weight of that admission for a second. The older brother is openly recognizing that it wasn't that silly initial misunderstanding that tore them apart. It was his pride. It was pure ego that drove him to build that fence. But the very second he lets go of that pride and literally crosses the bridge, the relationship is instantly, beautifully restored.
So after this incredibly touching reunion, the brothers are thrilled.
They ask the carpenter to stick around, saying they have plenty more work for him to do. But the carpenter, he just packs up his tools and delivers this totally profound line. I'd love to, but I have many more bridges to build. You see, the carpenter's work of forging unity, it is never done. The source material is giving us this gentle reminder that our world is full of fractured relationships, deep divides, and high fences everywhere, and they all desperately need someone who's willing to quietly build a bridge.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is captured perfectly in the stated moral of our text. It all boils down to a fundamental choice: building walls with anger versus building bridges through forgiveness. And the text spells it out explicitly. The latter is always, always better. Anger isolates us. It traps us behind these towering fences of our own making, just like the older brother. But forgiveness? Forgiveness is that strong wooden bridge that actually allows us to walk across the stream and reconnect.
And that leaves us with one final, deeply personal question to wrap up our explainer today. I want you to look closely at your own life, your own conflicts, your own misunderstandings. Are you building walls with anger, or are you building bridges through forgiveness? It's a timeless lesson from a simple carpenter, and ultimately it's a choice every single one of us has to make. Thank you so much for exploring this incredible